Namaste, everybody, and welcome, Kanishka-ji.
Thank you for having me over.
Hi. So today's event is the online talk about the book reading and publishing in India. And as this is as part of the Japan Foundation's YOMU project, that is the exchange of writers or readers among the Asian countries, including Japan and India.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And currently, Japan Foundation New Delhi office is working on with lots of writers in various parts of India, and just we asked them to write the short pieces, just that is relevant to the current situation in India, and just we look forward to just many people just will enjoy reading these pieces, but at the same time, just since the audience or readers of the pieces or literary works don't know much about India itself, or maybe what they write, what they read, or how is the maybe book reading culture in India. So in this program, just we invited just one of the maybe best suited person just to introduce that to you people, Mr. Kanishka Gupta. Thank you very much, Kanishka.
Thank you for having me over.
I understand that just you were originally the writer, just you wrote the literature?
Yeah. So I started writing in around 2005 or 6.
Yeah.
And the reason why I entered agenting was because when I was writing and when I was trying to find like editors, agents for my work, I could not find any. I mean, there were one or two agents who were operating, but otherwise one had to query agents in the UK, US. So this lack of support system, access to editors and publishing professionals who will give you honest feedback, unlike, your friends and family members, is what kind of inspired me to set up Writer's Side. And so in 2008, I just took a leap of faith and I set up an editorial service, because my biggest grouse with publishing then was there was no one to give you feedback and to help you learn. So in 2008 we started an editorial service, and in 2010 I set up an agency because I felt that I would also like to like discover, work with and promote good writers, because when you are an editorial service or when you're editing manuscript, then you just it's like more of a monetary transaction, because you would not say no to writers who are not good. I mean, like many people who approached us initially, they just wanted to get their book self-published, So I mean, we were not looking at quality, but I wanted to like find, discover, and develop and promote new writers, and that's how I set up an agency. And the agency was started in 2010, and my first author remains my most successful author, Anis Salim. He's won the Sahitya Academy Award, and he's won multiple awards. So I mean, I discovered him in 2010, and even he came to me because he was not getting response from anyone in the US, UK. Yeah, so that's the thing. So the reason why.
But did he find a good publisher in India? Didn't he?
Eventually he did via me, but he just took a big risk, because I mean, I had no track record, and he gave his first book to me. I got him a 2-book deal with HarperCollins, and the rest is history. He's won the Hindu Prize, he's won the Crossword Prize, he's won the Sahitya Academy Award, many other prizes. Before Writer's Side set up, before I set up the agency in 2010, there were other agents. I mean, there was Red Ink Literary Agency, which operates out of Khan Market. There was this Bangalore-based...
Bari and Sons.
Yes.
That is very old and
yeah, but that's the bookstore. Yeah, that's very famous.
Yes.
But the agency was set up, I think, in 2000 only, like early 2000. And I think the first agency was set up by Jayapriya Vasudevan, Bangalore-based agency, Jacaranda agency, and then Jayapriya moved to like different countries, and so she found some professionals in those parts of the world to help her, like maybe take the books overseas. But I think I was the third or the fourth. I think there was this Syahi, which set up before Writer's Side, which Jaipur-based agency. There. the founder of that agency is now also the director of the JCB Prize, Literary Prize, which is the richest prize, literary prize for writers in India. And I think after that, I mean, there have been agents. I mean, there are 4 or 5 agents that have come up after that. A very major UK agency set up shop in India, Aitken Alexander. I mean, they represent very major writers. So they hired someone to, run Aitken Alexander India, the India office. And I mean, that did well for a few years, and then that kind of didn't work out. But also like authors also have access to like your tier 1 agents in the UK, US, like David Godwin, Andrew Wiley. There are many other agents in the UK, US, but it's not easy.
I see. So maybe going back a little bit, to the old age, I think, of course, India is a huge country, and we know the great writer or thinker such as Rabindranath Tagore, just very famous worldwide. But after that, maybe post-war period, I mean, or post-independent period. Of course, just when we foreigners just came to India and get to maybe dig into the maybe books or writers or literature field, maybe just you get to know the somewhat great authors like Munshi Premchand or maybe Hassan Manto or someone like that. But not so many maybe writers. There might be so many, but not so many writers have been known to the world, especially to Japanese public. Just Indian literature or Indian books or Indian authors have been unknown for quite a long period. Is that because of the maybe kind of a lack of the or weak of the publishing service or?
No, I don't think so, because I mean, I don't know about. I'm sure like writers like Salman Rushdie, Arundhati Roy.
Oh yeah, these names.
They are big in like Japan. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, they must be getting translated into Japanese. And I don't know whether many of the stalwarts of like in Indian languages, Indian literature have been translated into Japanese. But the publishing industry has come of age. I mean, in your 90s and early 2000s, we only had Penguin. We had HarperCollins. They had a joint sort of a venture with Rupa first, and then India Today.
Yeah.
And after that, and then we had Rupa. But now practically all the MNCs have operations in India. Hachette, Bloomsbury, Salmon and Schuster. Then we also have some very well-known independent publishing houses like Aleph and Speaking Tiger, and I think IW is quite big overseas.
Yeah.
We have like I don't four Booker winners. So
okay. Maybe those writers, as you named, like Salman Rushdie or Arundhati Roy, they write in English, and maybe they have advantage. I mean, to be maybe introduced directly, maybe to the world, especially the maybe West. But I'm sorry to say that Japanese maybe book market is quite conservative and not looking at Asia. That is why we Japanese people don't know much about Indian writers.
So I think a lot of writing in Indian languages, like Hindi, Urdu, Tamil, Kannada, Gujarati, Assamese, it deserves an international readership if you go by pure merit. But do they get translated into English, and do all of them or do all the important books get published in the UK, US by major presses, or even in India, foreign languages? No. It's uneven, You may have a very important poet who is published in 10 or 15 languages, but he or she may not have a UK US edition. Similarly, there are many important, very pioneering works of literature in many of the Indian languages which don't get UK US readership. And I think also in Japan, like other like Asian countries and even European countries, they tend to like go for books that have become big in the UK US. Yeah, so I mean, if it's a very important or a big successful novel in the UK, US, then it will have a Japanese translation. But I'm pretty sure even then, like authors like the tier 1 the really big authors from India must be having some sort of readership in Japan.
Right.
But this whole issue of translating and making available, translations of pioneering Indian authors writing in Indian languages to the West is still very much there. So
Thank you very much. So maybe looking at the domestic or Indian.
I also wanted to
continent.
add that we have so many international prizes focusing on translation, like the Man International Prize, which was set up like a few years ago. They have never even longlisted a translation from an Indian language to English, and they have they've had like a very eclectic jury, and it's not as if Indian translations have not appeared in the UK, because that's the most important eligibility criteria, that the book has to get published in the UK in order to be eligible for that prize. But very rarely does one see translations from Indian languages to English appearing on the long list and short list of these prizes. Not forget awards, but even grants, for translations, fellowships. It's very rarely does one see like translations from Indian languages.
Okay. Yeah, I now understand that slowly, or maybe thanks to your efforts also, maybe now just world is finding great writings of many Indian writers. But maybe looking back to maybe Indian domestic market or readership, I'm very, very much curious about just how the market is growing. Actually, just in my observation, just when I firstly lived here in Delhi, that was 1999 to 2003. Of course, there were bookshops, but very visible, bookshops mostly sell the books written in English. And of course, if you know more, you can find maybe bookstores dealing with maybe books written in local language like a Hindi or something like that. But maybe with the conversation with the writers writing in the vernacular languages, I just understood that just market is very small, and just first print is maybe very 1,000 or something like that, and it was very difficult to maybe sustain lives by writing only.
So it also for the whole system was very unprofessional. Many of these authors were just giving books to their manuscripts to publishers because of their personal relationships with them. Many of them never signed contracts. They did not even read contracts properly, So even forget the print runs and the distribution, but many of the publishers in Indian languages, they were not professional. I think things are changing now. I mean, so we have some very good publishers in the Hindi language, Tamil, all the major languages, Marathi. They are paying advances. In fact, they are even translating some popular books in English and abroad. In English, published in locally and abroad into their languages. So things are better now. As far as availability of books, such books in like English speaking, like areas is concerned, I don't think we have there are shelves. There is a shelf space for such books in your prominent bookstores. So I think they have their own bookshops. I don't see a space for like Hindi books or Marathi books in bookstores in Delhi at least. But they have bookstores. They have their distribution systems. They are going big on ebooks, audiobooks. Like Storytel, for instance, which is this European audiobook platform. They are doing audiobooks in multiple languages, and they are finding more readership in Indian languages than in English language.
I see.
So, but there is a problem. There is a problem of transparency, accountability in such in these publishing houses.
Well, you can say that just recently, just there are lots of maybe growing number of bookstores all over the country that sells the English both, sells written both in English or local languages in all parts of the country?
So translations are quite big. So I mean, like a Indian language work translated into English will probably sell as much as a debut writer writing in English. So that's a thing that has happened in a big way, that translations are getting a lot of attention. Publishers are acquiring translation, not just from like Bengali and Hindi, but even like Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, Marathi, even like Dogri, I mean, I recently sold a
Dogri?
Yeah.
Which language? Which part? Dogri is.
That's a language, huh?
Oh, I'm not so
And then
well
there
aware
is
of it.
this there's a language called Maithili. So I have done the first novel that was published in Maithili. I have represented the translation of that, and HarperCollins is bringing it out. So, but in terms of like sales, I mean, translated works of translation into English, they're doing as well as debut writing.
Okay. So, yeah, so people sometimes read books, I mean, written in their own language. Sometimes, of course, people maybe prefer, reading books written in English or translated into English. But that depends on maybe their preference or, but do you say that maybe market of English books are bigger than the books on local language?
No, I think I would say there's a greater appetite for literary writings in languages like Tamil, Malayalam, Bangla. I mean, their books they go into multiple reprints. And the sales figures are also much higher. But I mean, those people are reading in their mother tongue. I mean, they're reading in their language. So I mean, there is a long literary tradition in these languages.
Right. Malayalam or Bengali or...
Oh yeah, they sell. I mean, many of the books are serialized in prominent literary journals. Forget publications, forget the sales. I mean, even the literary ecosystem is also stronger. They have literary journals, they have literary magazines,
I see.
So, which is something which is kind of scattered in the Indian publishing space.
Yeah. When I travel around West Bengal or Kolkata, just I was really astonished or amazed to see the number of kind of private literary journals. I mean,
I mean, very, very famous.
Yeah, so that forms kind of a great community of readers.
And they have the special like Durga Puja editions and your Onam editions. So I mean, they sell a lot. We don't have too many literary journals in English. I mean, there were some that had come up and they did well, but because they could not be monetized, I mean, they had to be closed. So
I see. Thank you, Kanishka ji. Now, just I understand that publishing business is maybe developing and doing the job very well, and now more and more people can enjoy reading books. So
we have more publishers publishing in different genres. Like I said, that almost every major publishing house in the world, they have an India outpost. We have independent publishers, And then we also have specialist publishers, academic publishers focus having a specific niche.
Right.
So a lot of large number of mass market trade books are coming out, because academic books were always very big, but trade books, I mean, that the volumes have gone up.
I see. So can you tell that just most popular genres of books currently people are reading?
So unfortunately, the most popular genre remains your mind, body, spirit books. Your self-help books, your spirituality books on spirituality.
That's true.
There's a huge appetite for celebrity books, not just celebrity biographies, memoirs, but also like even self-help books, parenting books written by celebrities, fitness books written by celebrities. I mean, obviously, it's written by those celebrities who are known to have a sort of a very good, fitness regimen, or known to have a say on the subject. So I mean that, and also like non-fiction generally is more popular than fiction. Your political biographies, business books are big. They sell a lot. And business books with a self-help element, or angle, they sell even more. So I mean the appetite for useful or utilitarian books has gone up, especially during the pandemic.
Okay. But why spiritual, or
I mean everybody is looking for answers, and
is that because of India, or from long time back just there's a demand for spiritual book or religious book, or it's growing?
No, I think also because I mean many of these new age gurus, they have huge followings.
I
see. Like even before they get even before the book comes out in the market, there's a reprint, and there are multiple reprints, So they have this captive audience, and publishers are very well aware. I mean they know that these people have like millions of followers on Insta and like millions of followers on YouTube channels. So it's a money making proposition for them, and for them it's a sort of a branding. So that market is like, it's gone to another level only. You have like lakhs and lakhs selling, copies selling, and then there is some serious, very good non-fiction selling also, literary non-fiction. Like your investigative books, travel books, travel writing. That's selling a bit. There's a great appetite for historical narratives. Like biographies of like
maybe Indian history.
Yes, great appetite for that.
Okay. So people want to maybe
so non-fiction in
reflect
general,
or know more about their own identity, or
I think there's more interest in non-fiction over fiction. And fiction also, like Indian writers face tough competition from writers in the West, especially when it comes to genres like sci-fi, fantasy, horror, genre fiction, crime. I'm pretty sure most serious, regular readers of these genres prefer international authors over authors writing in such genres locally. Also, another genre which has taken off big time is your commercial writing. Like your romance, love stories and all of that, and it's turned some new writers into household names. Like they are stars now. Like selling lakhs and lakhs, not just Chetan Bhagat, but Ravinder Singh, Durjoy Datta,
I see.
and many other names. Amish is a big revelation, and it's also like the only writer who's made it very, very, very big in this whole mythological space, because that was also like doing very well initially. And after Amish, there were other writers who did quite well, not as well as him, because he's an outlier. But like Anand Neelakantan, for instance, Christopher Doyle. But I don't think that there's too much interest in mythology now as it used to be. But like the big names are going to, it's like Bollywood, like the big stars. I mean, everybody would want to see their films, and like your literary writers are your like indie cinema, art house films. So that's worrying that like it's that we don't have too many genres within fiction doing too well. So you have your commercial fiction, or you have literary fiction, which has a market, but it hasn't grown. It has remained the same, steady, and it remained steady during pandemic also, which is quite telling. So it's not as if like people stopped consuming literary writing during the pandemic. The numbers are not changing drastically, despite new innovations in marketing, promotions. So despite all the festivals that have come up for literary fiction, any sort of endorsement from the West or any nominations in the West, your Booker, Pulitzer, that will make a lot of difference. But locally, we have not been able to like institute and like nurture prizes and influencers who have a very big say in the sales. I mean, yes. I mean, some of the prizes are very rich. They carry a rich purse. They are prestigious. I mean, news about winners of the prizes will be covered everywhere. But does that lead to sales? No, I don't think so.
In terms of talking about the literature festival, maybe in India now just has maybe many more new festival or literary awards, I think. So maybe some private company also supports that.
So, before pandemic, it was quite healthy. We had quite a few literary prizes, but without naming names, I can confirm that most of the prizes have shut down. Most of the literary prizes are not going to return even after the pandemic. So,
really?
Right now we have JCB, which is like big, and one or two other prizes. Some are like prizes instituted by the government. That is, they are not going to go away. Your Sahitya Academy Award. Sahitya Academy Award is given for literary writers. There's a Yuva Sahitya Academy Award, which is given to writers under 35.
Yeah.
And then there is Bal Sahitya Puraskar. And then all you have these, like prizes given, like lifetime achievement prizes, like Gnanpith and all. But as far as prizes for new writing, IWE are concerned, I mean, they are very few and far between. And after the pandemic, many of them are not going to return. But I mean, this also gives an opportunity to like people interested in this space and interested in promoting this space. I mean, to set up new prizes, because I think that's one area that needs to be addressed. Festivals, I mean, there was there was this joke in publishing in India that there's a festival in every locality, in every district, So many festivals, and I mean, authors were spending more time attending festivals than working on the new books. Or writing or reading. I mean, it was just you go to 5 different festivals within a span of like a week or something, or sometimes 2 weeks. And many of these festivals used to happen at the same time. So the festivals were in touch with each other so that, they could coordinate the schedules, because they couldn't have the same sessions.
So many writers are traveling and participating in the festival while writing.
But festivals, they make a difference. I mean, because some writers, some books tend to do well when the writers are in conversation with their readers' potential audience, And if you go by the sales of books at JLF, Jaipur Literature Festival, which is by far the biggest in the world. I mean, it's very encouraging. Books are selling.
I see.
So I mean, because they have stands there, and you do like someone attending a session by a writer would be interested in picking up a book, signed copy, having a conversation with them. But even festivals now, I mean, during the pandemic, the festivals, all of them moved online, as a result of which that the novelty has gone, because I mean, people were just there was a glut of all these online festivals. So every day, every few hours, you were having some panel on on social media. So I think that there's some sort of fatigue from that. But I think most of them are going to return. So unlike the literary prizes.
Thank you. So maybe let's talk about something about the maybe pandemic or post-pandemic. So so India also faced several very severe lockdown, and that might affect the maybe mindset of people so much. And initially maybe people never be able to think of maybe reading books or buying books, or maybe there must be certain period that maybe people are detached from reading, right?
So during the second wave, I mean, people were only worried about, availability of oxygen and beds in hospitals, because it was such a big health crisis. I don't think India has faced such a big health crisis ever. So I'm sure at that time, I mean, sales must have been for new books, and even the whole reading habit or the ability to read, when you are sick, when your loved ones are sick, when people around you are dying or they're in hospital, that was a major problem. But during COVID, during the first wave, books did sell. Of course, I mean, there was this huge a problem of making new books available. It was almost like crisis level, because I don't know whether you know, but in India, books are not considered essential items. So the government had mandated the online platforms to sell only essential items. So the bookstores were shut, and there was no way for Amazon or Flipkart to make new books available. So there was no way to purchase new books. So so a lot of publishers were experimenting with ebooks, or e-first publications, like experimenting with ebooks, audiobooks, and people were reading a lot, but they were also like going back to old books, like books that they had bought but they had not read. So I think during first wave, publishers of ebooks, audiobooks, non-physical books, I mean, they had a huge opportunity to make a mark, leave a mark on readers, but unfortunately print prevailed, because one did not see a huge spike in the sales of ebooks or audiobooks, although I mean the sales are going up steadily. But when once the lockdown, I mean, was lifted, and once Amazon was allowed to deliver books, people preferred physical to I mean, the physical copy, physical book. Yeah. Before the pandemic, many of these independent bookstores, they relied heavily on the number of walk-ins they were getting and hand selling books to customers. But after pandemic, when that was not a possibility, they started they started delivering books. They started advertising their books and their new releases on social media, Instagram. They started selling via their website. Many of them had websites, but they were not developed or attractive enough. But many of them, and those practices have continued till now, which is why these independent bookstores are doing so well. Because I mean, they have a database, mailing list, and now many of them are delivering books all across India.
I see.
Yeah, which did not happen before.
So they were relying competing on with Amazon. Competing with Amazon.
I mean they can't afford to give so many such huge discounts. And of course there's a cost attached to the delivery also. But yeah, they have managed to innovate, and those innovations will continue through well after the pandemic.
I see. Just I read some of your articles just on a scroll, and I found it very interesting. One episode about the tie-up of food delivery service with certain publisher in Kerala. That is quite interesting.
Yeah, because I mean there was no other way to make books available. So I mean people came up with innovations, and then many of them faced issues, teething troubles, because these deliveries are these modes of deliveries are not suited to books. But then I think and some of them are still getting done. I mean, some of them are still using the same platform. So I mean, yeah, that series was great fun. I mean, it's coming together of so many people. It's a way of bringing the whole publishing and literary community together in such a bad time in history. So sort of a solidarity. It also gave us a lot of hope. And a lot of we've published around 250 articles, and I remember initially when an article was published, something in that article, some statement or some sort of innovation shared by the writer, it was picked up by other publishers and other publishing professionals also, and they were in touch with each other, they were sharing notes, and it's just it was also to it's feel good sort of a thing, lot of innovations. And
so you are quite optimistic or hopeful for the future, or even though this pandemic might be the opportunity?
Things are looking good now. I mean, like I told you that even during the pandemic, books that sold a lot pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, they continued to sell. I'm sure that the numbers have come down, but they continue to sell more than other genres. My biggest concern is given the general shift of selling from offline to online, how are we going to promote new writers? I mean, it's very difficult to for new writers or their publishers to spend money for advertisements and space on Amazon or Flipkart. I mean, how are you going to find new writers if most of the selling is happening on Amazon and Flipkart? I mean, and that percentage was high pre-COVID also. It's gone higher now.
I see.
So it's important to infuse some sort of energy in these retail stores, like chains. Retail stores are struggling a lot.
Yeah.
Bookstores in malls are struggling a lot. So independent, while
naturally.
most of the independent bookstores have survived and have done well also, that's not enough to, like kind of run publishing, So.
Yeah. And just people are still reading just in the pandemic, and maybe more and more new talents maybe keep writing, and
Yeah,
maybe
lots
your
of-
role is to
yeah.
find them. And,
So COVID was very good for me because like I said, I mean, I am in the business of, like, I'm like a middleman. So I find writers, talented writers, and find the right publisher for them, editor in a publishing house. So what happened during COVID was, because everybody was confined to the houses,
yeah.
they had all the time in the world to read.
Yes.
They were not distracted by the traffic, the commute, long commute, travels to different parts of the country, even city, for launches and meetings. So a lot of commissioning happened because people were reading and they were buying for like 22, 23, 24. Because I mean, many of these MNCs in India, they have 5-year plans, 3-year plans. So they have to commission for like future years. So I managed to sell a lot. I also managed to sell some tricky genres, like books in tricky genres, like poetry, graphic novels.
Oh yeah.
So there was a lot of sale, but of course, I mean, like the payments were delayed. Publishers were not paying on time, and some of them wanted the agent to, kind of accept like payment schedules which are a bit lopsided. Normally, because for whatever money you get from a publisher, whatever money an author gets, it's like staggered over like some installments. So they wanted the agent to maybe accept contracts when most of the monies was paid on publication, which is not in the author or the agent's hands. So that is something that happened. But otherwise, I managed to sell primarily because editors had the time to read and they were commissioning.
Okay. So now maybe we have a very good condition maybe for promoting more maybe publishing or reading culture.
So things are improving now. In fact, bookstore walk-ins in the bookstores have improved. Airport bookstores are doing well now. I mean, they are reordering a lot of books. We had bestsellers. Many books sold very well during the pandemic, and even now, I mean, a lot of books are selling. But like I said, it's not literary writing which is doing well.
Whatever.
Literary writing is not doing well, but books are selling.
Okay.
And while bookstores shut down, some of the bookstores shut down and they will never return. Most of the publishing houses are still working, still operating. They may have had to cut their lists, may have had to postpone publication of certain books to like 2021, 22. I'm talking about 2020 books, and if it's a 2021 book, maybe 23.
Right.
But I mean, they've survived.
Okay, thank you. Maybe last but not the least, just I wanted to ask you maybe some little bit tricky question, or maybe some difficult question to ask, but from the curiosity, just please let me ask. So, just I read just one of your articles in a scroll that was based on the interview or just panel among the juries of
So
JCB.
that was my interview with the jury of the current JCB prize.
And maybe you questioned about any versioning of the sort of pandemic or COVID literature, and many juries maybe took a little bit reserved comment that something like it is unrealistic to expect literature to have a speedy and efficient response to contemporary events, or it takes a while for a disaster of this magnitude to sink into the literary imagination. I understand that, but let me ask, just how do you see, just you have been just watching lots of new coming works, and do you see that new writings in the pandemic have some new elements reflecting on that?
So this question is primarily about pandemic literature. No, it hasn't taken off. Again, people want like books on COVID, science books, explaining COVID, virus, self-help, books by doctors, like books by counselors, books on grief, again utilitarian, but any creative response to COVID, the pandemic has not done really well in the Indian publishing markets, even though some very, very major books came out. I don't want to name them, nor the authors, but there were novels, there were poetry anthologies, but people don't want to read about COVID because they are so sick and tired of COVID. But yes, something which is done in a different way, and in which pandemic COVID just plays a sort of an ancillary role and not the main role. I mean that may work. But yeah, like I represented some books, like about relationships during COVID, and there was this a book on poetry, COVID poetry, and then there were novels and all. But people don't want to read about it. Yeah, so.
I see.
But yes, if there is a book on any sort of a book on the science of COVID or vaccines or like self-help books, that those have done better.
Yeah. Thank you. I guess that maybe it may take a little bit more time, just for some serious writing, just may start reflecting on the this harsh experience and maybe create something.
And that's going to take time.
Yeah, actually, just in the case of Japan, also just after this great earthquake in 2011, there wasn't just very quick response just from the creative field, but slowly just
but I'm sure
writers,
some monumental works will emerge out of COVID. Monumental works about the pandemic,
right?
But that may take time, and I'm pretty sure in the next year or so we'll see some big literary novels and like literary works of non-fiction, some very important works also. But right now, whatever that has come out has not done really well. And many of the self-help books have not sold like via traditional channels. Like there are these pharma companies and all. They were interested in like buying, bulk. In bulk. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Just all through the discussion and conversation, now just I am reassured that just there are lots of great books in India that deserves reading, and that just I myself just now just I'm very much eager to get and read more, and I hope that just many more people in the world, especially maybe Japan, just to the audience of this program, just I want them to get access to the Indian writings. So one last just comment or message to the audience, Kanishka ji.
I just have one request, that go look beyond like books that are getting published in the West, and books that are getting awarded in the West, because there are far more authentic, surprising, unexpected voices which don't get published overseas, and they're just published in India, and they are reviewed a few times and then they're forgotten. So I would like expect the readers to maybe engage more deeply, and maybe try and look for new voices, and that can only happen when they maybe look at some of the works that are coming out of India but are not getting published internationally. So there are, and also I think I don't see many of the books published in India getting translated into Japanese. Unless there is some sort of a publishing tie-up, or some sort of like a exchange of grants. Correct me if I'm wrong. But all I'm trying to say is that there are many writers in India, famous within India but not known outside of India, who are more surprising and who are more authentic than many of the writers publishing in the West, because they have lived most of their lives. Many of them have lived most of their lives in India. So,
right.
So they are not like explaining, India, or like to a Western audience. And I'm not saying that. All books published overseas do that throughout. But so that's and for that one has to be like maybe more engaged with Indian writing.
Okay, thank you very much, Kanishka ji, and let's hope that maybe many people just we'll work together and shed light on the great Indian writings, and maybe many people in Japan or Asia, may enjoy
which is
more writings.
Which is why I'm very happy that you've decided to, like spearhead this initiative wherein you're involving Indian language writers and getting their stories, their response to creative response to pandemic translated into Japanese, for your readership. So I mean that will be a good introduction to these writers to your readership, and also I mean it will kind of end with a sort of a Zoom conversation, right? I mean there was some sort of a conversation that they get to hear them speak also.
Yeah. So we will work on it, and let's enjoy the journey together.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
for having me
Kanishka
over.
ji.
Thank you.